Okay. Oh, it's a little bit of nonsense. That is, welcome back to Tactical Tuesday with Johnny Tiger. The date is June 3rd, 2023. And as you guys saw, we're going to do a quick product review. We're going to look at the cold steel medieval training daggers. If you are looking for a pretty decent quality training daggers, these are pretty much it. Now, there are some pros and cons, of course, like everything else. Um, but first, the spec. The blades are about 10 inches long, the hilt about 6 inch and a little bit past that. So the whole dagger is just over 16 inches long. The grips is sized more for a large-ish hand. Like for my hand, they are pretty decent. But I imagine if you have a smaller hand, these may feel just a bit clumsy. But it has the disc-shaped pommel. Actually, this in many ways feel very similar to the cold steel training sword that I have. Let me see if I can grab this quickly. So this is the cold steel uh, training sword, and as you guys can see, let me I'm like juggling three blades here. Let me quickly put this one away so I can free up my hand. So you can see, shape-wise, the training dagger is basically just a miniature of the cold steel training sword. So if you have been trained in the French fencing style, where you are used to having a dagger in your offhand, this is very good for that. But if we look at the obviously the blade, the dagger blade is a lot smaller than the sword blade. The dagger crossguard is a lot smaller than the sword crossguard. But this is where you kind of get interesting. Okay, the disc pommel is smaller than the sword disc pommel, but the handle is not much smaller. Like the handle is almost exactly the same length, exactly the same thickness. So again, if you have medium to large hand, not a problem. But if you have a smaller hand, then these might not be ideal for you. With that said, these things feel very nice in hand. They are pretty well balanced. I say they're a little bit uh, kind of forward heavy. Um, yeah, they're definitely a little bit forward heavy um, because the blade is thicker than on a real dagger. I have other training daggers made of actual steel. They feel a little bit more weightier and more well balanced than these. But for something that's made of plastic, and if you get it on a good day, you can get them like $11 US each. So for low end training dagger, these are pretty decent. At least it's balanced enough for you to pull off switching grip in mid combat. Right? Forward grip, reverse grip, thrusting grip, back to forward grip. No problem. Okay? And that's even with dual wielding, right? Now, quick little tidbit for those of you who want to try two-handed fighting, the dual wielding stuff, right? When you do dual wielding, it's important to set a primary hand and a secondary hand. Okay, it's not like in the movie where you just you just go flail with both hands, right? Because if you start flailing with both hands, one of two things going to happen. One is you end up wasting a lot of energy and not achieving a heck of a lot. Why? Okay, I don't really have a proper way to demonstrate this without a partner, but let's just say this speed bag is the opponent's sword. Okay, that's this is speed bag, the opponent's sword or arm or shield or whatever. If you just flail, yeah, you just keep hitting the same spot. You're not going to achieve anything out of that. Okay, waste of energy, not really getting anywhere. Number two is if you just start flailing. Okay, I'm going to do this in slow motion now so you guys can see what's going to happen. You start flailing. See what's happening? I'm cutting my own hand, right? Because I am not paying attention to what I'm doing. I'm too busy flailing these things around, and I'm going to ding my own blade. I'm going to ding my own hand. Now, with training models, you're not going to really think much of that, right? But you always want to treat these like they're real. Speaking of realism, there's a bit of a problem with these because on the blade, Cold Steel has put training knives and coldsteel.com on the bloody blade themselves. So if your goal was to use these in props, in like play or stuff like that, you need to put in some time to sand these off. Okay, it's a little unsightly. I wish they didn't do that. It's actually a bit lame. Um, what else can I say about these? There's really not a lot to say. Oh, they are surprisingly softer than I expected. So if we look at the training sword here, this is that polypropylene material. Ow, really rigid. Okay, there's no flex to it. Oh, well, I mean there's a little bit of flex because you can see the blade trembling, but there's no bend. Ow, ha, ow, yeah. Okay, it's really rigid. These daggers, they're made of a different material. They're more like rubber. So, oi, oi, yeah. See, I can bend them and then spring back. Okay, this is both good and bad in a sense. Good in that if I got carried away with sparring and I stab too hard, it's going to warp. Yeah, it's going to bend. It's not going to go through my opponent, or not going to leave a really heavy damage or anything like that, right? So that's the good part. The bad part is I have rubber knives like these for training knife a lot of time. If you don't store them properly, like if you just throw them in the drawer and have other things sitting on top of them, you will find that next time you go to use your training dagger developed a bit of a bend, kind of like this, right? Yeah. So it's you do have to be careful with these because if you don't store them properly, you're going to end up with a warped blade. Even the way I uh, push it through my belt like this, I really don't recommend you carry it like that. I just do that for video. But if you carry it like that, it's going to stress the blade too much, and it's going to eventually warp the blade. Okay. Now, with this said, even though this is kind of soft, so if you stab someone hard, it's going to bend. like that. You still need to be careful with them. Like I always said, if you're, especially if you're training with a partner, always wear proper hand and elbow, wrist protection, face protection. Those are the most important stuff, okay? Especially your hand, your face protection. Okay, taking one of this, get one of these cuts across the body, ow, ow, it will hurt, right? Especially if your partner is like really, really being an a-hole about it. Uh, especially in big whipping cut like that, that's going to hurt, right? If you get nailed by a whip style cut like that, you do not want to get hit on the knuckle, okay, on the wrist, on the elbow, or on the face. Okay, if you take this on the back of your hand or knuckle, that hand will get damaged. Trust me, I have my right thumb. I used to have way more range of movement in my right thumb. I'm pretty double jointed with my hand, but with my right thumb, I can't really go back that far anymore. Because one time during training, I got dinged right on my knuckle of right thumb by the training stick. And that was a padded stick. That was not even as hard as this. That was a padded stick. Okay? And that thumb never healed properly. So be very careful. Even though these are rubber, uh, you still want to be protected. Now, one thing I will say, with them being rubber, they allow me to do one of the things I love to do the most to my partners when I'm sparring. So I'll show you guys this. It's a kind of an a-hole kind of move. It's sure to piss your partner off. But if you get good with this, you're going to be able to spar without doing damage to your partner, and it can still hurt them pretty bad. Okay, so a lot of time with a floppy rubber knife like this, rather than going for a heavy cut, at the last minute, if I feel that I'm going to land the attack, I'm going to twist my wrist so it turns into a slap. Okay, these things, it's awesome. Like when you smack your partner with this, ow, yeah, hurts a lot, but it's not going to do damage. Okay, just a little something for you guys to think about if you want to play with training knives. Like even if you get hit on the knuckle, yeah, ow, it hurts, but it's not going to damage your knuckle. So rather than cutting with the edge of the blade, learn to use the side, the flat side of the blade, especially when you're using um, rubber training knife like this. It's a lot of fun. Obviously, if you're using like actual rigid blade, like the training sword here, that's not going to make much of a difference. If you hit it with the side of the blade, it's still going to break bones. In the end, these are nothing fancy. They are decent quality training daggers that allow you to go through your technique with relative accuracy, practice your form, and mess around with your friend without actually killing each other. Thank you for checking out today's episode. Hopefully, if you guys buy some, have some fun, and be safe. We'll be back again tomorrow for Wisdom Wednesday.